GSD Golf community, what's poppin'? Welcome to the next episode of the GSD Golf podcast, and we're really excited about our guest today. We're going to get him on in a quick minute, but we got to make sure you're taking care of yourself. We talk about taking care of our bodies. We talk about eating right. We talk about exercising. We talk about getting stronger on the golf course. And our next guest, Shaun Diachkoff, is a fitness professional who, Shaun, on your own site, you say you can help me gain 30 yards off the tee and lower my scores. That may be something we have to take you up on. Shaun, welcome to the GSD Golf Podcast.
Thank you, mate. I love that intro music. That's definitely my vibe. If I had a walkout song, that would definitely be one of them.
Right? And I look, the next episode, we're on the next episode. It's nobody has come on the show yet that says, I can't believe that's your starting music. So we're going to keep the vibe. It makes me happy. Takes me back to a time when it was a kinder, gentler society, but the music was good. And so here we are, and welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate you having me. And the first thing you said there was it can help me gain 30 yards and shoot lower scores. And I think it's one thing that everyone forgets is we get heavily marketed to in today's society by the golf equipment manufacturers with the balls, the equipment, all these shoes and all these things. And everybody forgets that your body is your most important asset on the golf course. And it's only someone who has an injury, who is breaking down or cannot swing the club to their full potential that will realize this, because we all just overlook it and take it for granted. But there will come some point in someone's life where they do not take it for granted and they need the help of someone like me.
Yeah, man. That's a really interesting statement to start the conversation with, right? I think you're right. So many people look, the marketing side of the golf industry, people are willing to go spend hundreds, if not thousands, on equipment. And the biggest piece of equipment they have, they neglect sometimes. I'm sure you see that all the time.
Mate, I see it all the time. And I put it down to today's culture, or our society is very instant gratification. So if we can buy a pill, if we can buy a driver, and if we can do something which immediately fixes or makes us think, that's the thing, it makes us think we've fixed the problem, then we'll be happy with that and we'll pay lots of money for it. It's why getting someone to do a fitness program versus getting someone to do liposuction for weight loss, or today's example is Ozempic. If you can stop eating food, if you can stop eating food for 3 to 6 months and go on a calorie deficit, it's going to take you a long time. It's going to be hard. It's going to be, not instant gratification. It's going to happen slowly. Versus if you can just pump a little bit of, drugs into your body with the Ozempic, or you can go and get liposuction. Like, each of those options just gets progressively more expensive, right? But the time frame to get the result gets cut right down. So that's the difficult thing. But everyone forgets, like, our body and the way that we treat it, it's the one vehicle that we're given from birth to death. And the better we treat it and the more care we take of it, the more quantity of life we get, but the better quality of life we get also. Even the richest man in the world, Steve Jobs, or he was at one point, he would have given every single cent of the trillions of dollars he earned to spend more years on this planet, but his body wasn't able to do that. Rest in peace to him, but his body just wasn't able to actually do that. Like, he would have given everything for it, for more time. And I think we just get caught in today's culture of just, how do I say it? Like, just taking it for granted, not having a lot of gratitude around it and gratefulness.
Quick satisfaction, quick gratification. And I think some of our listeners, our junior golfers, you may be sitting home saying, you may be listening to Shaun saying, well, that doesn't really apply to me. But the sooner, I think, Shaun, you would agree with this, probably the sooner you start focusing on taking care of your fitness, the sooner you start taking care of your body, the sooner you may see actual more positive results on the golf course, as opposed to, one, being sore, but two, having somebody outdrive you on the golf course. Now you take ownership of your body, you get stronger, you get more, you get healthier, you get more physically fit. Walking 18 holes doesn't become a struggle anymore. You don't lose energy, I would assume, on the back nine. We see that all the time, Shaun, with junior golfers that come out really to a fast start, and then they run out of gas on the back nine. I'm sure you have tips on how we can help with that process too.
Yeah, and just to touch on the first part there, like, I've never met anyone who that is physically fit and proud of their presence, like proud of their physical body. I've never met anyone that's like really struggles with a whole lot of like mental confidence or like, confidence between the ears. When we aren't, and we don't want to wear like specific clothes because of the way it makes us feel or shows our body and things like this, that's when we're not proud of our presence. It's very hard to be present in situations because we're worried about like external factors. In the golf sense, like if we're worried about like a twinge in our back, or we're worried about like a specific like mobility issue or whatever, it's going to hold you back in your swing. Like you're not going to be able to swing as freely as you would like to, and that's obviously going to cause some performance issues. If you can't rotate properly and your back hurts, like I guarantee you're going to start hitting the ball in some weird and wonderful places on or off the golf course.
You're going to get to experience it all at that point.
Yeah, you're going to experience the ocean at. I'm assuming that's Pebble Beach behind you. There is it.
It is Pebble Beach. Yeah, you'll be slicing it out into the ocean for sure.
Yeah, 100%. You'll be swimming for your balls instead of walking down the beautiful course there. But yeah, and while it might be a really distant horizon for a lot of the younger listeners, we've all got to realize that at some point, I'm 38 now. I still feel like I'm 20. The last 18 years of my life since I started working, left home, all that sort of stuff. Like it is absolutely flown by, and it's because I've actually looked after my body that I'm actually in very like extremely good shape, like top 1% shape for 38-year-olds, and all of the guys that I work with, are really struggling. Like they've sacrificed their health in order to build their wealth and their careers, and then they're getting to this point and they're having to pay someone like me to help them with that. I mean, it's great because I have a job from it.
You, good business for you.
Yeah. Also, it makes me a little bit sad as well, because if someone invites them to go and do something physically, like they won't be able to go and do it. Like their body will make the choice for them, not them actually being able to make the choice for themselves. They're forced to do something because they just physically can't do it. So and I know talking to younger generations or younger kids, like it's hard to see that when you're looking forwards, but you can also look at it as like at some point in our life, like whatever age we get to, it might be 20, 30, 40, 50, we're going to be at our halfway point of our life, or, at the peak of it.
Some point, right? Yep.
And everything is going to start to come back down. So if we just start at as early as possible, just layering good foundations in there, just layering brick by brick, and we build up to the strongest, fittest possible person that we can personally be, then it's going to take a lot longer for us to lose our quality of life, independence, all those types of things as we get older. And yeah, it's very hard to see as a kid. Like I've said that a couple of times, but there will come a time, and back in my days, sort of thing. Like it's going to come, and it'll come sooner than you think. Like I still remember school. I still remember all that stuff as if it was yesterday, and like it was 20 years ago. Like it was a long time ago for me.
Time flies when you're having fun, my friend. So Shaun, if somebody's at home, some of our junior golfers or parents of our junior golfers are at home, and they're like, you know what, I think, listening to you, listening to the GSD Golf podcast, it's time my son, my daughter, my student athlete starts working on their physical fitness. They want to get some tips. They want to learn some things. How can they reach out to you? How can they find out what you have at Fairway Performance?
Yeah, the best way is through social media. Like that's how I pretty much run everything these days, and it's just my Instagram name, which I'm assume you'll put up on the socials and podcast links and stuff. But that's the best way to reach out and just have a conversation with me, because the way that I approach it is different to others. There's lots of golf fitness people out there, or fitness coaches who are cottoning on to the fact that golfers will spend thousands on drivers and think that they can make a lot of cash from making a golfer fitter. But they don't have a clue on how to actually hit the ball or swing the club themselves. So yeah, reach out to me there. Let's have a conversation, because the approach that I like to take is rather than I like to use this analogy. Like if you think about a general fitness program or a general program for anything, is like firing a machine gun. It's like you're going to fire a lot of bullets, and some of it might hit the target, some of them might hit what you want to, but it's for the general population. So not all of it's going to be really applicable or appropriate for you. But I like to take the other approach, which is the sniper rifle. So assessing the body, figuring out exactly what's going on, and knowing exactly what to work on by assessing and not guessing what someone needs to do or work on or fix, and just firing 3 bullets that are really effective and giving them specifics on what to work on. So there's a place in the market for both models, and sometimes younger people, they want to go through the blood, sweat, tears, trial and error and do that sort of stuff. But if you're after a more structured approach and want to actually fire a sniper rifle at the things that you need to fix, yeah, I'm the person that you want to talk to for that.
GSD golf community, just to be clear, we are talking about golf and we are talking about junior golfers. Shaun is just dialed in. My guy is just focused on how he can help us get a little bit better. Shaun, I want to, again, we talk a lot about the junior golfers and we talk to the parents of our junior golfers, but I want to pause for a minute. And to your point, you get a little bit older. There are the average golfer like myself that's out there that does listen to the show, that does follow along on our social platforms. For I'm going to say for the middle-aged golfer, right, that's past their prime athletically, is it more important to be focused on lifting weights, doing cardio, stretching, or some combination of that so that they can maintain that flexibility you need to play the game of golf?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's one I hear a lot actually. And if we think about the machine gun approach versus the sniper rifle approach, to bring it back to that, we know what traits we're rewarded for in golf. We know that we're rewarded for a repeatable, consistent, powerful swing and the stamina to walk 18 holes. Okay, a lot of people, particularly juniors, are probably not going to struggle with the stamina to walk 18 holes. All right, it's probably not the thing. So, pounding, and especially if we've got limited time, because obviously golfers as well, the other consideration is we want to be practicing a couple of times a week. We want to be playing 9 to 18 holes once a week, and then a tournament round, potentially a competition. So it's lots of hours. It's like, 8 hours a week, and it cuts into our training. So having that method of, just, going down the sniper thing, that's obviously, why I like doing that, because it affords time to do the other stuff. Now, if we think about the traits that we're rewarded for in golf again, we are rewarded for power and mobility. They're two of the things, right? What we know is that if we have more muscle mass and we're more mobile, then that's two parts of the speed equation. More mobility equals so speed equals distance over time. Speed equaling the distance that you can swing the club, so the mobility you have to swing the club, and the time it takes your muscles to contract in order to hit the golf ball. If we change the fact that your muscles can contract faster, so get to the golf ball faster, and they can also move in a larger range of motion, we've just affected the speed equation, right? So that's the basis of it. So if we think about what muscle groups and all that sort of thing, like it's getting very technical, like the chest and shoulder adduction helps. If we think about hips firing, all these things, there's obviously different areas that we can work on. But to boil it down to the simple fact is we want to get more mobile in the areas that are important: hips, thoracic, and shoulders. Whichever is the weakest for you, we address that first. We also then want to increase the rate that our muscles can contract by building muscle and also doing hypertrophy style training and strength work. So building muscle and building strength. And then that's going to affect the most for our golfers. The other thing with that is if we've got more muscle mass and we're just fitter and stronger, it's much easier to walk the course anyway. So we don't really need to work on fitness because we're fitter and stronger anyway. If we think about it, like when we're doing sets and reps of exercises, we're actually working our cardiovascular system because we're recovering between sets. So that's your body's ability to decrease the heart rate, to replenish glycogen into the muscles, and then obviously repeat the bouts and repeat the efforts through the gym. So we're doing a little bit of cardio in that fact. We
talked earlier about the marketing in the golf industry and the technology in the equipment. Exactly what you just talked about, the strength and the mobility being increased. If you take care of that, you're also going to be maximizing the technology that's in your hands from an equipment perspective, right? I would have to assume now you're getting max out of that $600,000 investment you just made in a club.
Oh, 100%, mate. It's one of those things, like when people first start with me, like one of the goals, just because it's what I have on my social media, is like, I want to increase distance. I want to hit it further. I'm like, cool. We're just going to take a step back and we're going to just lay a really good foundation. In laying the foundation, I talk about that speed equals distance over time and how mobility and contraction of muscles, blah, 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 is going to help. But literally, like, so this is, I'll talk about two clients. So one client is a 67-year-old guy from Long Island. He averaged 190 yards off the tee. He's trained his whole life. So he was a wrestler. He's had 2 knee replacements, 6 surgeries on one of his knees, and was averaging 190. We just finished up 3 or even up to 4 months worth of training, and all we did was the foundational stuff. All we did was these things that I'm talking about. He hit a drive in front of his, I believe it was in front of his sons the other day. One drive was 230 yards and the other was 242.
Oh, okay.
So that's 50 yards further than his 190 average. You know, a little bit of tailwind, a little bit downwind, but that doesn't account for 50 yards. Like, you know, that's going to give you an extra 20 or 30. Like, he's literally doubled that.
That's huge.
So that's him, you know, like he's hitting a 70-yard chip shot into a hole that he's used to hitting like a 7-iron into now, or used to be. The other client, this guy's from Texas. He literally was training for like 2.5 weeks. Again, he had trained before, done a lot of training, and we just went down the foundations route, which I was talking about. He went from hitting his pitching wedge like 120-ish, 125, to flying greens like 140 with his pitching wedge, literally in like 2.5 weeks, because we got his mobility, we really targeted it, and he's built some muscle. And yeah, like he was posting every Wednesday. I got a Wednesday wins channel with all my clients, and he was posting in there. He's like, what the heck is happening? Like, I'm flying greens with my pitching wedge. Like, how is that possible?
That's so awesome.
It's not just the driver that gets it.
And to start from a fitness perspective, you know, I think sometimes people think you can start as easy as going for a walk one day. You can start as easy as spending 15-20 minutes stretching one day, right? I'm assuming there's little things that you can do to just jump in to kickstart that.
100% there is, yeah. Just to give you an idea, like a lot of people, and I literally just had a new client from New Zealand sign up like half an hour ago, and I was having this conversation with him. He's like, what's the sort of time commitment that I need to put into, you know, getting started with this sort of thing? And literally most clients will start with me. They'll do a 10 to 15 minute daily mobility plan, but it's like 2, 3, 4 exercises that are really specific for them to work on the areas they need to work on the most. And then we'll do 3 strength sessions in the gym or using equipment that they have at home. So that's the basis of it. Like, that's a program that someone's going to write for you. That's going to obviously allow you to see an amount of results. You know, if we were to take that back and just be like, what could someone just do straight away? If someone literally from this podcast went away and they got 1 hip stretch, 1 thoracic stretch, and 1 shoulder stretch, and they did 3 sets of 5 to 10 reps of that every single day for 10 to 15 minutes, they would see a marked increase in obviously their performance on the golf course. Like, it is that simple. The thing is though, like, obviously once we start doing something or we start training, just like anything, like, you know, for the kids out there, like, you know, when you were young, like your mum and dad would have given you like paracetamol or medicine in like a syringe, like 5 milligrams is the dosage for a kid, right? I'm used to doing it with my 4-year-old who made me sick, which is why I'm a bit croaky right now and sort of coughing a bit. Thank you, daycares. But as an adult, we need to have 2 tablets, like 500 milligrams or whatever the dosage is, you know, like I'm not a chemist, I'm not a pharmacist, but, you know, say there's a big difference there in terms of the dosage that someone needs. So when you're starting with it, you can get away with a little bit of stuff, but then once you've progressed for a while, obviously that will plateau and you need to then increase it. So that's why the strength work and the mobility work together is very important after you've been doing it for a while, because at the end of the day, when you do get older, like, we want to think about our bodies being able to exceed the demands of the golf swing. We want the golf swing to be easier than our max effort. If the golf swing is our max effort, that's when we get hurt on the golf course. And that's why we want to do things in the gym progressively more difficult so that the golf swing is actually really easy. Like, for me to play 18 holes or 36 holes in the Cayman Islands sun, 36 degrees Celsius, and 90% humidity. Yeah, you're melting, but like, it's not hard. Like, it's not physically difficult. I walk the course. Everyone else drives in carts. Like, they think I'm crazy, but like, it's not physically difficult. As long as I keep the water up and have a couple of bananas, you know, it's fine. My body can handle it.
And I think your point of your body handling it, I think the more, you know, we talk about the golf swing being easier, but again, as you get older, I think the more you take care of that, it's more about your body being good long-term. Just to be a healthy human. When we think about the juniors, I think that's where there's going to be some changes. You know, I think as junior golfers, some of them are still getting taller. Some of them are still putting on weight. They're filling out as humans. But the more they put into the fitness side of it, they're going to see gains on the golf course. They're going to your point earlier, they're going to go from hitting a pitching wedge 120 to hitting a pitching wedge 140, 150. So there's some adjustments that will have to come. But the strength side of that, the mobility side of that, only will enhance their golf game as they progress.
Yeah, 100%. So, like this is just to share my story as a kid. So I've
Yeah.
played a lot of golf. Like I've played golf at some decent levels, like elite amateur tournaments, and I tried to make it to the Australian Amateur Championship, but just didn't get in by a couple of shots. I was off point 0.2 handicap,
Uh-huh.
and it was like scratch or better made it in. I was just outside
Yeah.
the field by
Yeah.
1 or 2 spots. So like I've played decent level of golf, and with the juniors coming through as a child, as a kid, you are limited with how far you can hit it by your mass, like your muscle mass, because your mobility is generally really good. Like you don't have to worry about that too much, especially if you picked up a club young and it was too
Yeah.
heavy. Like it's probably like doing the mobility for you because like
Yeah, there's some of them are like rubber bands. They're flexing. They're like spinning around like Gumby or something.
yeah, it's strength through that range of motion that we need to build. And if we're swinging a club that's like 200 grams per se, that's not going to make us stronger. Like swinging that over and over again or more and more and doing more repetitions of it is probably not going to make us stronger. So if we can do something in the gym that puts a little bit of muscle mass on and actually gets us to being able to lift a lot more than the golf club, and that thing starts to feel like a toothpick or a barbecue skewer in your hands and you're swinging it so hard, that's when it becomes really easy. Now, my journey as a kid, the way that I developed power and the way that a lot of kids generate power, even Justin Thomas still does a little bit of this now because he's a smaller, guy. They will early extend in their swing. So instead of our pelvis and our hips rotating through the ball, creating a really good kinematic sequence, transference of power, all that stuff, kids will early extend. So the hips will drive towards the ball. And because they hit so many balls, they turn their hands over at the ball. And they probably hit these beautiful fades or nice straight shots because their hand-eye coordination is yeah, like it's just how it goes. And they also don't
Yeah.
hit enough spin on the ball to hit big duck hooks and blocks and blocks and draws and stuff. The
Yep.
spin on the ball is just not high enough. So what happens when you become an adult and you start swinging faster and you still have that early extension and you've got more muscle mass is you start, and you're also not playing as much, is you start to hit blocks and draws and big duck hooks and all this stuff because you can
Yep.
swing it harder and faster. You're probably nodding because you've done this.
Yep.
And
You can relate.
it was me as well. So what I'd done as a kid is I'd ingrained this movement pattern of early extension to develop my power. And then as an adult, when I came back to playing after a few years off, I'd early extend and hit these big hooks. And I was like, what is going on here? And it wasn't until I started to like train certain things in the gym in order to get power from rotational movements in the pelvis and moving the pelvis in a different way and actually learn a bit about rotating the hips and anterior posterior tilt of the pelvis to actually contact the ball, that now I hit this cut that's like 300 310 like every time, 176 ball speed on course. Like my goal is 190 ball speed soon, but getting that on course and learning that was a big process. And a lot of kids are going to go through that. The sooner you can get a little bit of muscle on your body and develop power, not through extending the hips, the sooner you're going to develop a more repeatable swing for your whole life, as opposed to as a kid and then relearning as an adult. Because I've seen this happen so many times with people.
Shaun Diachkoff, Fairway Performance, professional golf fitness instructor. We really appreciate your time on the show here. So, Shaun, what are some things that maybe you see younger golfers, junior golfers, maybe? What are some mistakes they make in the fitness industry, other than popping the pill, taking the pre-workouts, those kind of things? But like, I've seen it where people go in and all of a sudden they try to pick up these 50-pound dumbbells when they're not there yet. What are some mistakes that maybe you see?
Yeah, so the big one is just looking around online and just like guessing how to build something. Like we go to school to learn how to read, write, do maths, like all this stuff. Like go and learn from somebody. Like talk to your parents about getting the support and help from somebody who knows what they're doing and can be a really good mentor for you in teaching you what to do, be a good role model, and actually take you down a really good pathway. Because like we can fall into traps of seeing certain things online and thinking that's the be all and end all. And not everyone is very well intentioned on the internet. Like we've got to be careful with what we're doing. Yeah, it's
Right.
a deep dark place.
Yeah.
So if you can try and attach yourself to somebody like that who's a very good role model for you and has done what you're trying to do. The other thing is always think of everything in terms of progressive overload. So if you apply this principle to anything that you do in life, you're going to get so much better. We don't just go all in with an investment and put, all of our life savings into something, straight away. Like we just put a little bit of money into our superannuation, or I think you just call it a 401k. Just keep chipping away to build that thing. Same with training. Like you're not going to go from unfit and not mobile and not strong to changing it in 6 weeks. Like it's just not going to happen. It's a journey. So just subscribe to that journey. The fun part is like having fun with your friends in the gym and challenging yourself and beating what you did in the last workout by a little bit, and just really fall in love with that process, because that has a lot of ties to golf as well. Like you don't just go from shooting 90 to then suddenly breaking 70. Like it takes a lot of time to do that.
There's a progression. I do like your point of when you get that PR in the gym or on the track, or you're putting in the work and you see the results start to come. There is a little bit of a natural high that comes from that, and you get energized and excited about it. So I do think that's a really good point out on this. When we talk about fitness and we talk about the strength and the durability and managing through 18 holes of golf in a single day, but maybe 36 holes, in 2 rounds and back-to-back days for some of these kids, nutrition has to play a part, right?
Yeah, 100%. So the big thing is like adequate hydration. So what we know about hydration these days, and you can go and look up studies and whatnot, but with hydration, there's a certain percentage of our power output that we lose if we are dehydrated. The easiest and simplest way to know whether you're dehydrated is your pee yellow or is it clear? That's the first sign, right? When you go to the toilet, just look in the water and just see, is it clear or is it yellow? If it's yellow, it means you need a lot more water. Yeah, so we need to be pumping that back into you and drinking up more than what you've obviously output in sweat and urine. The next thing is nutrition, or like carbohydrates. So essentially what we're losing while we're out on the course is blood sugar, or carbohydrates. So we need energy more so than all the other macronutrients. So having things like bananas, or even like a little bit of trail mix with a few chocolate chips in it as like a little bit of carbohydrates. There's lots of different protein bars, like depending on what allergies and things like that people have these days. I know lots of kids are allergic to peanuts and all sorts of stuff, but finding something that's a good carbohydrate source for you. And also not going into a round, like knowing that you're going to need to eat in like an hour's time, like do that, like a bit of prior preparation, if you've got a round at 10 a.m., like have your breakfast a tiny bit earlier that day, and then like have half your lunch before you start, and then have half of your lunch at the 9-hole mark, and just have some planning around it. So too often people will just leave it to like whatever's at the course as their nutrition thing. So like I'm the guy who rocks up with like a sandwich in a Glad bag, or some leftover dinner in a Glad bag, and or sandwich bag, and like banana and some nuts and stuff. Like you need to be that person. If you're really going to take this seriously and play to your potential, like you need to be doing that. You need to know where the water stations are on the course, or if they don't, it's like put 3 liters of water in your bag. Just overdo it. That's too much.
What's your thoughts on the energy drinks? I see a lot of kids walking around with these energy drinks nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ties to performance increases with caffeine. And it is great. And depending how young a kid we're talking here, like I'm personally not going to be giving my son, who's when he's 4 years old now, but when he's like 12 or 14, like I'm probably not going to give him energy drinks. Maybe like 16 to 18-year-old kids, we can start to think about having coffee or some sort of like small amount of that. But at that age, like, they're sleeping through the night, they're having really good sleep and rest and stuff. If they've got some energy level or energy deficiencies going on, hydration and nutrition is going to be far more, appropriate for them, as opposed to like a really big spike in caffeine or, something else, to like some sort of stimulant to get them going,
And you just mentioned sleep. Sleep has to be a huge part of all of this.
Yeah, mate. Well, yeah. If you've got a kid, you've got one child at least.
I got 2 for sure.
Yeah, well, like how good or how much a good night's sleep is worth, right? It's not until you have children, you start to lose sleep and get sleep deprivation, that you realize how much of a powerful impact it is on your body. It's where all of our memory goes from short-term to long-term memories. It's where human growth hormone is released within the body, which is a restorative and reparative phase of sleep. The deep sleep and the rapid eye movement sleep, the more percentage of our sleep we can make those two than we can make light sleep, the better recovered we'll be. So yeah, and again, like, it's not till we get older that you have to start worrying about that, because most of the time as kids, like, they might be a bit nervous for their event and get a bad night's sleep beforehand, but generally, like, kids aren't too bad, but it's definitely something to keep on your radar.
Shaun Diachkoff, Fairway Performance, professional golf fitness instructor. You can find Shaun on his social media pages. Specifically, we found him through Instagram. He's got a ton of great content out there, from strength to stretching to enhancing your mobility. Shaun, and before we let you go, anything you want to share, any last bit of wisdom you want to share with the junior golfers of the world, or the parents of junior golfers of the world, as they try to increase their performance on the golf course?
Yeah, just remember that one philosophy. We're given one body in this lifetime, and it's got to last us from when we're born to when we die at some point in time. And the better quality and quantity of life we're going to get throughout that time period is going to be determined by what we can physically do. And what we can physically do is determined by how we train it, how we treat it, how we fuel it, how we recover with it, and just remembering that through your life. And if you have a simple thing, like when you go to do something, or you go to make a choice with what to put in your body or do with your body, is this going to make me better tomorrow than I was yesterday or today? If the answer is no, it's a very easy thing to choose not to do, particularly with kids and growing up and all the things that they're going to be influenced by these days. If you run it by a simple filtering process like that, you're more often than not going to be making a better choice than not, and your older self is going to thank you for that.
That's so awesome and so true. Shaun Diachkoff, Fairway Performance, and Shaun's coming to us from the Cayman Islands. Is that correct? Like, you're not just right around the corner correct. For like one of our previous guests. You're coming a long way to join the GSD Golf Podcast.
Yeah, I'm Australian, so I'm from even further away than the Cayman Islands. But my wife and I and my son are living in the Cayman Islands at the moment. So it's a beautiful little place to call home for now. But I'm enjoying a lot of travel up to the US to play some amazing golf and meet clients and get around the US. So I'm loving it over this side of the world at the moment.
Well, that's awesome, and congratulations on all your success. And if you have an open invitation, you ever have anything you want to share, welcome back to come on the GSD Golf Podcast. We'd love to have you on. Shaun, thank you for joining the show.
Thank you, mate. A pleasure to be here. And if anyone wants to reach out, looking forward to having a conversation about how I can support you.
Love it. Shaun Diachkoff, golf fitness instructor, TPI certified golf trainer. Shaun, thank you for joining the GSD Golf Podcast. We talk about recruiting process. We talk about tips on equipment. We talk about course management. We talk about the mental game. But the physical aspects of training your body, whether it's strength, mobility, speed, nutrition, all of that leads to better golf on the course. So GSD Golf community, junior golfers, parents of junior golfers, amateur golfers like myself, we can all work to get a little bit better at our physical fitness, at our taking care of our bodies, eating right, and being better prepared to play the game of golf. As always, we want to continue to make 2025 the best golf season ever. GSD Golf community, let's continue to get things done on the course. Let's continue to make 2025 the best season